Our agenda for the day is be able under our AI for social good. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce With Pune to you all. With Pune is a community and a lot more than a community. We are a group of driven people. We advocate for data science, we learn, and we share. Today, we are here for our pre-conference event, and this is the first event we are having offline after 4 years, 2 years, sorry. And I think all of us are thrilled to see you all here. Thank you for joining. And let's begin with our agenda for the day. Technology has tremendous power of speed, scalability, accuracy, reach, and personalization. Technologies like AI, ML, DL have revolutionized everything around us and have done some truly groundbreaking transformation. But there are still many domains where these technologies haven't established strong ground. One such domain is for differently abled people. Many people have established proof of concept, but have not found a way to produce an end-to-end product that is accurate and commercialize it for you. What are the current challenges differently abled people are facing? How can we develop innovative solutions which can be used to solve these problems? How can technology be a boon to solve these problems? The outcome of this discussion will be ideas, products, solutions, and thoughts which can be used to solve these problems for differently abled people in our society using AI. So without any further ado, let us delve deeper for our agenda today. Before we move ahead, I'd like to share my screen and demonstrate to you a small video which can show what life is for differently abled people and how technology may be helpful. Just give me a moment. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Ben Underwood is blind. Both eyes were removed when he was 3, leaving him with no vision at all. So how on earth does Ben do this? I don't think I've ever come across somebody like that. Ben lost his eyes to cancer, but unbelievably, he's taught himself to see. Sound. If he chooses to go out there and ride that bicycle, let him ride the bicycle. That's got to be very smart. Somewhere in there, some genes going on. I don't really think about level 1. And then level 1. Ben has no guide dog and never uses a white tree. Sound makes a sharp click. Bounces back off me my monkey. Amazingly, Ben's ears pick up the echoes he can precisely locate them in time. Ben is the only person in the world who seems using nothing but echo location. Well, I've been able to tell where walls are, where things on the ground are. If I click down, then I can hear them easier. But if I'm walking, I'm just clicking over it, it's not going to get it. And I can tell where desks are in the classroom and stuff like that. I can hear the wall over there, the couch over there. I can hear the wall behind me. I can hear the wall over there, and the TV and the computer. Yeah. Ben's echolocation is so good that at home, it's not accidental. He compares it and brother Isaiah. There's no allowance for his blindness too.
I didn't really know he was blind. I just knew my brother.
He determined he's going to do, and he refused for somebody to label him blind. See, kids that have a whole different way of thinking, it's magic and it's real.
never seen anyone quite as remarkable as Ben, nor have I seen anyone quite as remarkable as Ben's mom. I think that's a lot of the secret to Ben's amazing talent. You know, that's an impossible thing. No, it's not.
Right. Okay. So before we move ahead, I'd like to also highlight why we are here today. So the pre-conference event is one of the very much ways in which Pune community functions. We are not just the yearly conference, but every year we have pre-conference events, games, technical workshops, technical discussions, and everything that one might need to strengthen themselves for data science preparation. We stand on 4 pillars: women empowerment, AI for social good, transformation and education, community learning, and giving. So I'm extremely grateful for you all to join us today. And without any further ado, let's start. Let me start by introducing to you Maya Care Foundation, a charitable organization which provides free visits to the elderly in care homes and their own homes and offer medical and logistical support and companionship. Maya Care is powered by a team of people with disabilities who earn a living and are nurtured to take leadership roles. Today, we have with us Manjiri Gokhale Joshi, founder, director, and CEO of Maya Care, and a few members of her team who have joined us here. Team members Jyoti More, Madhuri Karate, Archana Chandane, Anuradha Jaiswal, and Sandhya Atram have joined us virtually. Having a disability couldn't stop them. Technology again helped us dissolve that barrier. So I'd like to welcome Manjiri ma'am on stage today.
Thank you, Vaidehi. Right. Would you like to, you would want us to introduce? Yes. Okay. So as Vaidehi introduced us, one of the reasons why we feel really, really privileged to be here is that we are the first, I would say, adapters and users of technology. Maya Care started 12 years ago when there was almost no technology of any kind. But unlike a lot of organizations which have started because of COVID and they have turned remote because of COVID, we have been remote for the past 12 years. And we were always remote. And the reason why we were remote is that we wanted people with all abilities across all locations to be able to work with us. And there are a lot of scientists, aspiring scientists, a lot of technical experts on the call today and in person. And we just have a single message for you that whatever comes to your creative mind, and you are, as we speak, as we talk about our challenges, things will come to your mind, and you might offer us solutions which are absolutely radical. And we can assure you that we are just waiting for that to happen. We'll tell you a few things which are very basic for the rest of the world, and one more technical innovation, and it's something, by the way, but for us, it's a very big deal. If that was not there, we wouldn't have been able to work. Our team would have not been able to work. And so given that, I'm going to hand over back to Vaidehi, and we are just waiting. So, look forward to hearing from all of you what you can do, and we'll be the first ones to use. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manjiri ma'am. Your journey is inspiring and has motivated all of us to understand. Yeah. So let's start with the first question. This question is directed to Jyoti ma'am. How do you work? How do you decide who is going to do which type of work in Maya Care, and what technology do you use?
Yes. Hi, मैं ज्योति मोरे. Ma'am, I'm audible. Hi, I'm ज्योति मोरे. पुणे महाराष्ट्र से बात कर रही हूँ और व्हीलचेयर बाउंड पर्सन हूँ और पिछले 12 सालों से माया केयर में एज अ प्रोजेक्ट कोऑर्डिनेटर काम कर रही हूँ. तब जब हम काम करते थे तो टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी आगे नहीं गई थी जो अब गई है. पिछले टाइम मैम को खुद मिलना पड़ता था किसी से भी बात करने के लिए, और ओनली हमारे पास फोन, ये एक ही जरिया था किसी से भी मिलने का. दूसरा, अगर उसने फोन नहीं उठाया तो हमारे पास कोई भी रास्ता नहीं था दूसरा. लेकिन अब ये टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी है कि व्हाट्सएप पर हम किसी से भी कभी भी मैसेज कर सकते हैं, बात कर सकते हैं, और उसके भी आगे जाकर हम जूम पर किसी से भी मीटिंग ले सकते हैं, वर्ल्ड का कोई भी पर्सन हो उससे मीटिंग ले सकते हैं, उससे मुलाकात कर सकते हैं, आगे बढ़ने के लिए कुछ भी काम कर सकते हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि डिसेबल पर्सन के लिए अगर टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प कर सकती है तभी वो काम कर सकता है और तभी वो तरक्की कर सकता है, डिसेबल पर्सन। क्योंकि हमने क्या किया 2020 में जब हमने रिक्रूटमेंट स्टार्ट किया बहुत बड़ी तादाद में डिसेबल पर्सन का, तो हमने रिक्रूटमेंट करते वक्त हियरिंग इम्पेयर्ड, विजुअल इम्पेयर्ड एंड लोकोमोटर, ऐसे तीनों भी डिसेबिलिटीज हमने ली। लेकिन उस टाइम ऐसे हुआ कि ये डिसेबल पर्सन, हियरिंग डिसेबल पर्सन डिसेबिलिटी विजुअल डिसेबिलिटी के साथ काम नहीं कर सकती थी। तो हमने ये जाना कि अरे तो ये ऐसा हो रहा है, तो हमने 3 पार्ट में उसे बांट दिया कि हियरिंग डिसेबिलिटी को हमने अलग किया, विजुअली डिसेबिलिटी को हमने अलग किया और लोकोमोटिव को हमने अलग किया। उसमें क्या हो गया कि विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड जो काम कर सकते थे जैसे कि फोन वगैरह, तो उसके लिए हमने उनका वॉइस नोट ये हमने यूज किया ज्यादातर, और हियरिंग इम्पेयर्ड के लिए हमने टाइपिंग का ही यूज कर सकते थे, और लोकोमोटिव जो दोनों को भी लेकर चलते थे। तो उसमें मुझे चाहिए कि ऐसा हो कोई कि हियरिंग डिसेबिलिटी और विजुअल डिसेबिलिटी ये दोनों भी एक साथ काम कर सकते हैं हमारे यहाँ। कि जैसे कि अगर विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड वॉइस नोट से बोले तो ये हियरिंग इम्पेयर्ड को टाइप में पता चले कि ये क्या बोल रहा है, तभी हम उन दोनों को लेकर काम कर सकते हैं या दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ काम कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. That was a very clear explanation of how you function. And it's great that you work in 3 teams, which is why, all of you can communicate very properly inter team also, right? So moving on, the next question is directed to Madhuri ma'am. How do you use basic technology at work?
हेलो, गुड इवनिंग ऑल। मेरा नाम माधुरी है, मैं महाराष्ट्र बुल्ढाना महाराष्ट्र से बिलोंग करती हूँ और मेरी जो डिसेबिलिटी है मैं लोकोमोटर डिसेबल हूँ। सो टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज जो है मैं बहुत सारे वर्क मतलब जो भी काम करती हूँ टेक्नोलॉजी के बिना असंभव है ऐसा मैं कहती हूँ, क्योंकि जो भी वर्क कर रही हूँ जैसे कि मैं बुल्ढाना महाराष्ट्र में रहती हूँ और मेरा जो वर्क है वो एज अ स्टेट कोऑर्डिनेटर तेलंगाना स्टेट में कोऑर्डिनेटर हूँ, राजस्थान की हूँ। तो मुझे उस स्टेट में जाकर मतलब कि उस स्टेट में रहकर मुझे वो काम बुल्ढाना से करना मतलब कि करना पड़ता है। उस स्टेट में जाने के लिए कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है। जैसे कि पिछले बार हमने एक एग्जांपल है कि पिछले बार हमने ओरेकल में म्यूजिक इवेंट किया था ओरेकल के द्वारा। तो हमारे जो 3 ओल्डेजों में पुणे, मुंबई में एक है और पुणे के 2 ओल्डेज होम, ये तीनों ओल्डेज होम में हमारी टीम ने एक लाइव प्रोग्राम म्यूजिक इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज किया था और ये सक्सेसफुल हुआ टेक्नोलॉजी के रिगार्डिंग, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी अगर नहीं होती तो उस टाइम पे वो प्रोग्राम जो है सारे इंडिया में दिखाया जा रहा था और ये सब हुआ और एक प्रोजेक्टर से। सो मैं कहती हूँ कि टेक्नोलॉजी इज अ बैकबोन, टेक्नोलॉजी इज अ बैकबोन ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग across the globe in current scenario. So टेक्नोलॉजी के अलावा मतलब कि मैंने कभी भी मतलब मैं हैदराबाद में नहीं गई हूँ, मैंने हैदराबाद की सिटी में कौन सा एरिया कहाँ पे है ये मैंने कभी भी नहीं देखा, पर मैं घर बैठे गूगल मैप से किस एरिया में हमारा वॉलेंटियर है, किस एरिया में हमारा सीनियर सिटीजन है, किसको मदद चाहिए, उनको मैं अपने घर बैठे ही टेक्नोलॉजी से उनको उनका लाइव लोकेशन ट्रैक कर सकती हूँ और उनकी हेल्प कर सकती हूँ। थैंक यू सो मच।
Madhuri ma'am, the words that she talked about technology not being a barrier and having this kind of training, it's exceptional to know that you use technology in so many ways. And for us, it might be really basic technology. But yes, when you use it, for you, it's your tool, it's your power. So thank you so much. Great. Let's move on to the next question. This is directed to Archana ma'am. How did you overcome all the challenges at work Do you have any success stories of using technology at work in any aspect?
नमस्ते मैम, मैं अर्चना, मैं मुंबई से हूँ। मेरी डिसेबिलिटी लोकोमोटर डिसेबिलिटी है। मैं माया केयर में पिछले 1 साल से काम कर रही हूँ और यहाँ पर मैं एज अ फंड एग्जीक्यूटिव इस पोजीशन पर काम कर रही हूँ और मुझे यहाँ पर काम कर बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है माया केयर में। जब हमारा वैक्सीनेशन प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा था तभी संध्या की हमारी टीम लीडर संध्या के पिताजी की तबीयत अचानक से खराब होने के कारण वो हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट थे। तो वो प्रोजेक्ट मैडम ने उस प्रोजेक्ट की जिम्मेदारी मुझ पर सौंपी और उसको मैंने बहुत अच्छे से हैंडल भी किया और उस सिर्फ मैं इसलिए हैंडल कर पाई कि टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से हैंडल कर पाई। जैसे कि हमने वहाँ पर गूगल ड्राइव का बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किया, व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस का बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किया, मोबाइल का बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किया। गूगल ड्राइव पर हम हमारा पूरा माया केयर का काम जो है वो गूगल ड्राइव पर चलता है, इसलिए हम एक जगह पर ही सभी काम कर सकते हैं। जिसको एक्सेस होता है वो चीज़ें वहाँ पर जाकर देख सकता है। तो इस प्रकार से मैंने वैक्सीनेशन प्रोजेक्ट पर बहुत अच्छे से काम किया। तो ये काम करते समय हमें बहुत दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ा था और उस पर हमने बहुत अच्छे से मात भी किया। तो इस पर मैं आपको 2 शब्द बोलना चाहती हूँ। मायने नहीं रखता है कि आप जीवन की परेशानियों को देखकर उसका कितना डटकर सामना करते हो। मायने नहीं रखता है कि आप जीवन की परेशानियों को देखकर उसका कितना डटकर सामना करते हो। जीवन में हमेशा उम्मीद रखे कि मैं हर एक चीज कर सकता हूँ और कर ही रहूंगा। ये हमारे अगर सोच होती है ना तो हमको कोई हराने वाला नहीं होता है। तो उसके बाद दिल्ली में भी मैंने करीब 350 लोगों का वैक्सीनेशन करवा कर दिया। वहाँ पर भी मैंने टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किया, जैसे कि मैंने गूगल का बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किया, मोबाइल का अच्छे से यूज़ किया। तो वहाँ पर मैं ऐसे देखती थी कि कौन से ओल्ड एज होम में कौन से लोगों को वैक्सीनेशन की जरूरत है। तो मुझे एक ऐसा ओल्ड एज होम मिला जहाँ पर करीब 350 लोग थे जिनका वैक्सीनेशन मुझे करवाना था। पर दिक्कत वहाँ पर ये थी कि उनके पास खुद के कुछ भी आईडी प्रूफ नहीं थे। कुछ ऐसे लोग उसमें थे जो कि खुद का नाम तक नहीं जानते थे और कुछ लोग तो बेड रिटर्न थे, जगह से बिल्कुल भी हिल डुल नहीं सकते। तो ऐसे लोगों को वैक्सीनेशन करना बहुत मुश्किल था, नामुमकिन के जैसा ही था। पर ऐसे लोगों के वैक्सीनेशन के लिए मैंने गूगल पर जो दिल्ली की एसडीएम ऑफिसर है उनका मैंने कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर ढूंढा, उनसे पहले व्हाट्सएप पर चैटिंग किया, उनसे टाइम मांगा कि मैं आपके साथ कब बात कर सकती हूँ। और उन्होंने मुझे एक दिन टाइम दिया तो मैंने उनको सब कुछ बताया, जो प्रॉब्लम वो बताए ओल्ड एज होम के बारे में। तो उनको कन्विंस करने के बाद वो रेडी हो गए वैक्सीनेशन के लिए और दिल्ली के जो 350 लोग थे उनका वैक्सीनेशन उनके रहते जगह पर हो गए। सिर्फ दिल्ली में ही नहीं, मुंबई, पुणे, नासिक, औरंगाबाद, अहमदनगर इन जगह पर भी हमने वैक्सीनेशन उनके रहते जगह पर करवा कर दिया। तो इस प्रकार से टेक्नोलॉजी हमारी जिंदगी का एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा बन चुकी है। बिना टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से हम मतलब जीना हमारा ऐसी मुश्किल ही है, क्योंकि हम रह ही नहीं सकते बिना टेक्नोलॉजी के। तो टेक्नोलॉजी के ऊपर मैं 2 शब्द बोलना चाहती हूँ। मानवता के लिए विज्ञान मानवता के लिए बहुत सुंदर उपहार है। विज्ञान मानवता के लिए एक बहुत सुंदर उपहार है। हमें इसे विकृत नहीं करना चाहिए, बल्कि उसका हमने और अच्छे से उपयोग करना चाहिए, जिससे कि मानवता की भी हानि ना हो और ना पर्यावरण के। इस प्रकार से टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे जिंदगी के लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। धन्यवाद सबको।
Thank you so much, Archana ma'am. And it is true, technology is a boon, and it's incredible how you use it both in your professional and your personal life to do so many other things which are very normal to us, but maybe very, very distinct and very difficult for you all. So I really, really appreciate and thank you so much for your answer. Moving ahead, this question is directed to Anuradha ma'am. From the perspective of a visually impaired person, what is your wish list? What are the challenges that you face and what would you want technology to do for you?
अनुराधा जी अनम्यूट कीजिए प्लीज। हाँ बोलिए, म्यूट हो गए वापिस। हाँ।
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anuradha Jaiswal. I am visually impaired. I am working in Maya Care as a state coordinator. I am from Kolkata. Perspective of visually impaired, my wish list are we want cane with the GPS system, because if in my cane is GPS, then we reach our destination without anyone help. Second wish list is in traffic signal, we want a voice alert. And third wish list is in daily life, for the we are working women all in daily life, we are need so many things. That's why we know in our gadgets are accessible like washing machine, induction, microwave. That's all are accessible. Then we use without any help. That is my wish list. And my challenges. When we cross the road, we have now a pandemic situation, cross the road, we help anyone. So in the for the traffic signal, we can't see the light. That's why we want the voice alert. So we cross the road without any help. And in a smart cane, uh, we want the GPS system, because if my cane GPS is installed, then we walk freely and we move to destination without any help, without anyone obstacles. And third one, in daily living skill, daily living things, we want everything is accessible for us, because without any help, we can do all things. That's it. So that's our challenges. So we want to solve this our challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archana ma'am. Your inputs are extremely great, and I believe that your inputs are great, and I believe that there is so much scope for us to implement here. And we hope that we take motivation from your words and try to implement these projects in real life so that we can aid you and we can try to help you with whatever we can. Thank you so much. Moving ahead,
Thank
the
you.
next question is directed to Sandhya ma'am. From the perspective of an orthopedically challenged person, what would be your wish list? What do you want from technology?
Hello, good evening all. I'm Sandhya, as a project coordinator at MayaCare. I belong to Maharashtra state, but currently living in Chandrapur district. My first wish list is many persons with disabilities are dependent on their families for their daily needs. I'm also a wheelchair-bound girl who usually faces such difficult while carrying out the day-to-day activities, like sometimes parents have to go somewhere out leaving us alone that time. I find it really difficult to switch on a light or switch on a fan. So I wonder if there could be the wheelchair that could do these kinds of activities for helping me, like the standing, recycling, and moving out of the house, or helping me to reach the washroom, all the parts of the house. So this type of the wheelchair would definitely help us in the overday activities and make a life independent without taking a help of anyone. And second wish list is with the person with disability officially living alone or with the family, especially with the girls while using the washroom, always how to take the help from their mothers and their family or any ladies who is available. I always wish that if there could be the device, it could help me or help me other disabled persons to handle daily activities, especially while using washroom. So will be really great boon for us. So that is my wish list. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sandhya ma'am. Again, your inputs are extremely great, and what they would mean for us is to understand that there are so many solutions that we can think of, so many products that we can design for so many types of disabilities. So thank you so much. I'd also like to request somebody from the audience to please let us know if you have some experience with designing products and solutions for differently able people or even otherwise, so that we can brainstorm and see if there is any solution that which we can work on. If there is anybody in the audience, who feel that they have some experience with product or solution development, then please feel free to unmute and let us know about the same. Anyone from the audience? Anyone from audience here? Okay. Well, that means that there is still so much for us to understand and then move ahead. All right. The next question is directed to you, Manjari ma'am. Apart from 5 of the members who just spoke, are there any other team members who did not get a chance to join us here today? And what are their disabilities? What challenges do they face? And what could technology do for them? And if you can get specific about how AI can help them, then even that would be great.
Thank you, Vaidhi. And so as we all heard from 5 of our representatives, in the last year and a half, we have recruited more than 565 persons with disabilities across India, and also recruited 20 people with disabilities in the UK for Maya Care. A lot of them could not be with us, or we could not work with them because technology just did not play enough of a role in already right now. Like Anuradha, we have another excellent person called Ronak, who is also part of our Maya Care team, who is also visually impaired. And Anuradha are doing an amazing job because they use screen readers. What technology has done for them is screen readers. Now, they use screen readers which other visually impaired people who we recruited did not use or could not use. Maybe because of access issue, maybe because of affordability issue or whatever. So access and affordability are 2 very strong points. Even as we go, and we have extreme cases of things that happened so well. For example, recently, about 2 months ago, a team of 3 people from Maya Care was presenting at a national conference in India, virtual presentation, in which 2 people had locomotor disabilities, and there was Ronak who was visually impaired. And suddenly, what happened was that the video and the audio on Zoom went off, on Microsoft Teams just went off, for the person who was joining in from Sangli. Now, his disability is so high that he's a former wrestler. He's on the call today. Abhijit Mali is his name. He takes care of Maharashtra. So 8 years ago, since his accident, he has been his arms, his legs, nothing is functioning. He's not even able to mute and unmute himself. He uses a computer with a stylus in his mouth. But he speaks so well, and which is why we are able to use his skills and train him to a level where he's leading the whole of Maharashtra. But what does one do when technology has not helped him on that occasion and his video and audio have been turned off by the organizer? He was not able to speak. Ronak, who was also on the call, who is visually impaired, did not know that Abhijit is not there on the call. He's there, but he's not, the video audio has gone off. How will he know? So this person is in Sangli, the other person is in Kolkata. And this has happened. So what, in any other circumstances, things would have just stopped. We would have had to stop the presentation. And as per the contest rules, it was a national competition. My husband, Abhay Joshi, and me, we are the co-founders of Maya Care. We had to keep quiet. Other people were not allowed to speak. So it was up to the team what to do. And I'm very, very proud to tell you that technology or otherwise, Ronak just kept talking. He finished his 6 slides, and the rest of the next 7 slides, he just continued to talk. And the amazing part is that his screen reader does not help him when somebody else has shared screen. What I'm coming to is that if it was his own screen shared, he would have known which slide is going on, right? But it's not on his device, and it's somebody else's device and the share screen is happening, he does not know. Still, he went on talking throughout. So there are many, many stories and examples like this, but let me come back to Vaidhi's question. There is a specific individual who is here. Nilesh or Prisham request you to spotlight Prerna, please. Prerna has been with Maya Care for the past 8 years. She lives in Pune, Kothur, and she has got cerebral palsy. So she's able to speak, but we may not be able to understand what she's speaking. And she also has some issue with the arms where the typing is very slow. But extreme matter of pride that she's able to make birthday cards. So if any of you give us your birthdays, she will wish you on your birthday without fail. She's able to make donation receipts. She's able to use Microsoft Word extremely well now. And she's also able to, send out, broadcast messages. Like even for today's conference, everybody needed the Zoom link. In a matter of 20 minutes, she has, broadcast everything to everyone. So these are wonders of technology. And how did she learn this? I remember an evening about 2 years ago where we had an hour and a half session on share screen Zoom, how to make a donation receipt. And we kept making it and we kept making it and kept making it. But the last time she got it, she has questions for my husband a lot of times back and forth on WhatsApp. But the great news is that she's able to do it. And as long as BioCare exists and as long as Prerna is there, she will make the donation receipt. Sometimes it was not easy. We have a few volunteers of ours in the audience from BioCare. It's not easy. You know, it's a journey. It's not always easy to get it right. And the easy solution is to get somebody who doesn't have a disability to just do it and get it right first time. But after 8 times, we've got it right, and the 9th time, it's okay. So that's Prerna for you. The last thing I want to say about people who we are not able to help, and I hope technology will be able to help them, are hearing impaired people. Okay, so we have a member of our hearing impaired team. Her name is Anupama. She's not on the call today, but she's doing an amazing job of sending calendar requests, planning meetings, sending all of that. So she's doing this. The magic is that between her and Ronak cannot see and Anupama cannot hear. But between them, they do a lot of work together. They have just made a WhatsApp group, and because he has a screen reader, he's able to hear. And if there is a meeting where somebody is getting late or something like that, Ronak will make the call and she will send a calendar request. So that happens. But Anupama is a unique story because her language skills are very well developed. And if you find the population of hearing impaired people in India, and it's extremely high, there is a very large number of hearing impaired people in India, and we were not able to help them. We were not able to continue working with them because their language skills are very, very poorly developed. And the reason for that is that they have not been taught lip reading. What they have been taught is sign language. There are 3 kinds of sign language: BSL, British Sign Language, American Sign Language, Indian Sign Language. In ISL, there are only 200 words. I mean, if you just imagine, or most of us in the audience today, we speak at least 3 languages, and we know thousands of words in all 3 languages, and that's why our communication with each other is so complex, so layered. But with 200 words, it's impossible to communicate how to get a job done. Now that is something, it's obviously I'm not a scientist, don't have the answer. I'm hoping you will have the answer someday, and you will tell us how is it that their comprehension will go up. Because somebody like Anupama is able to do so much because her comprehension is good. She speaks only one language, English, right? Because she has been trained. In fact, her mother and her parents speak only English with her. So a lot of times, I mean, this is a lady till last year, she didn't know what to do. When we first had the Zoom call as a chair, she picked up the table, she picked up the laptop turn. From there, today, she's, in matter of 3 minutes, she sets up Zoom call. All of that. Another limitation for her is that subtitle. Okay, because last week we had an amazing ceremony in 3 languages, Hindi, Marathi, and English, award ceremony. So we switched on subtitles, hoping that, she'll be fine, everything will be fine. But that what is coming out of the transcript is very, very strange. It has very little to do with what is actually happening. And that's what we are hoping you will help there. At least with the English, I mean, of course, the funny story with us is every time I say Anupama, it says Obama. So Anupama is typed as Obama automatically. That's still okay, but it's in English. What about Hindi and Marathi? She joined the ceremony. Sometimes, like she mentioned, we had oracles, we had singing programs, all kinds of things. She's not able to join. There is nothing, those subtitles are meaningless today. So anyway, I'm going to stop here. There is a lot to be done. And the challenge is really for you. You've already done a lot for us. And I see you, the world of data scientists, have already done a great deal for us. We're hoping more will happen.
Thank you so much, Manjari ma'am. I think the perspective here is to understand that there are so many types of disabilities. There's so many types of disabilities, and then those many types of disabilities call for those many types of solutions. Right here was one of the examples, which is subtitles, right? So if AI can help in real-time transcription, language to language, I think that is something truly groundbreaking, which will help these people really, communicate and do day-to-day tasks in a lot better fashion. All right, moving ahead. Now, this question is directed for the audience, and I'd like to have this like an interactive session. So if you have any input, please feel free to either unmute, or anybody from audience here, please feel free to just ask for the mic. I'll walk up and you can speak. Right. So there are several other disabilities, like we mentioned, mental illnesses like cerebral palsy, learning illnesses like dyslexia, autism, ADHD, and other neurological illnesses like multiple sclerosis, Huntington's, and so many more. how do you think can AI help here? For example, in case of autism spectrum disorder, AI can help with understanding and helping in classifying whether a person has ASD or not. And this can be done simply by videos. In terms of videos, video frames can be inputted and eye tracking or gaze tracking can be done. And hence we'll have either an answer, which is either ASD or not ASD. So how do you think multiple illnesses like these can be treated using AI? The stage is open for you all. Anyone here would like to give any input? Anyone who is in this meeting? Please feel free to unmute and let us know your answer. Okay. Since nobody here has experience there, so I am currently I'm a computer science student here, and I'm currently working on autism spectrum disorder. And this is what we're trying to do: classify whether a person has ASD or not. And person by person, I actually mean children, because the earlier autism is detected, the better it is. People can get therapy, and there is a good chance that they will lead a very normal life after therapy, right? So what we are doing is we're trying to show a small snippet, like 5 to 6 seconds of video to children, and we're trying to note their reaction. They generally are very good with screens, right? So it's difficult to understand if a kid has autism or not by showing them a video, because they attach to the screen like it's their very own thing. Okay. So in such a case, how to understand if the kid has autism or not? There's one thing called as questionnaire. So we ask a bunch of questions which are inputted into an Excel sheet rather in forms of zeros and ones. And then that combination is interpreted from a standard training data set, which is pre-trained. And so we have values, whether or not the person has autism or not. This is one paradigm, let's say. The second paradigm is the code snippet, the video snippet that I was talking about. Once you show the video, you check the kid's eyes, because if they are able to connect, if they're able to make that kind of attachment to the video and react accordingly, that helps us understand if they have autism or not. And the catch here is that they are very good with screens, like I mentioned. So we are adding an external stimulus, somebody, some person, because they have problems with social interaction, right? So some external stimuli trying to call them out. If they can respond to that stimuli, that means that they are not having autism. If they have problems responding to the person, that means that they do have autism indeed. And this we have formulated with a neurologist and a pediatrician. So this is really something that we are doing for our final year project. The outcome would be that we, try to predict whether the kid has autism or not, but also, possible lines of treatment. What can be done? What type of therapy can be given? So there are, I don't know if you're aware, there's a website called as Autism India, and they specialize in, giving these kind of therapies and giving all information which is there on autism to these kids. So parents can, log into support groups over there and meet and often have discussions, and these support groups will help these kids interact better, understand better. The better you detect it, the faster. Now there is another much I can talk about here, but yeah, I think okay. So I'll add another paradigm here. So what we are doing here is essentially questionnaires and videos. But is there a third type of data that we can use, which is essentially a neurological scan, MRIs, CTs, if that data can be used? Because earlier in, let's say, in America right now, the situation is that they take scans and they take the test that I mentioned, the questionnaire, right from the time the baby is 3 months old. That is how advanced research has been in there. And in India, the situation is that very few people are aware of what exactly is autism. So let alone actually having a solution, they are not aware what the disease is, right? So our aim is also to have, this is actually something beyond our capstone project really. This is something we intend to do in the later part of our life. But we want to create awareness about autism because it is very treatable if it is detected early, right? So yeah, MRIs and CTs. So ideally, neurologists have suggested that you cannot find out if a person or if a child has autism earlier when you take scans, but later on you can actually check brain volumes to understand whether or not a kid can have autism, because you can see there is actually a research paper where I saw this. So on one side, there was a normal person's neural connectivity, a neural schema. And on the right side, there was an autistic kid's neural schema. And you can clearly see that there are very few neural connections formed, which is why they have cognition problems. They have problems with social interaction because their neurons are not fully that connected, right? And if we in the most basic form functions as neural schemas. So I hope that we can do further more research into this, and that our capstone project can actually help make some difference, actually help get some solutions here. So this happens to be just one of the many illnesses which are existing right now. I mentioned at least 3 or 4 of them right here. So for MS, Parkinson's, these neurological disorders, what they do is they move, let's say they move you to a stage where your brain is neurodegenerating. So the neural connections or synapses, these are not forming. Again, the same issue, which is why there is cognition impairment and the rest of the things. So AI actually, there is something called as an implant. So for people who are physically challenged, who cannot move, right? So there is one solution which a PhD professor from Brazil, I don't remember his name, I think his name is Paulo. He has tried to make implants which can be embedded in the spinal cord of a person. And that implant, what they do or what they intend to do is modulate surrounding muscles to move. So if this chip is implanted inside the person, in the spinal cord, the person can actually swim, the person can walk, the person can run, the person that can do anything which a normal person can do. This is purely from one chip. This is the power of technology and AI. They can really help with such basic things. And spinal cord, that's really it's a wonder. I cannot still comprehend how they actually did it, because I'm speechless really, right? So I think there are so many things that we have to work on. And if we get to do this, AI has tremendous power. If the right research is done, if there is a question which says how to get tested.
From me only. Can I ask?
Okay. Swapnil sir, if you are there, you can either unmute or you can post a question in the chat box as well.
I think Nilesh was trying to ask a question.
Yeah.
I think he tried to say what?
He said, can I ask?
Yeah. Swapnil, Swapnil Ugate also has raised hands, but I asked question, like just now you said about the chip, like implanted on the spinal cord, and if we want to get tested for it, what are the procedure, and can we do it in India or also, or somewhere else we have to go there?
Yeah, that is actually a great question. This has not been launched as a diagnostic treatment yet. This is still under research. And once I think it is approved by maybe FDA or however they try to get it approved, the treatment should be approved by standard agencies, right? So I'm not sure if the treatment is verified yet. So once that is done, I think we can do it. Currently in India, I don't think there is anything which is there on these lines. If there is, and if anybody from audience knows, please let us know. If not, I think this is where we need to start. This is where people in India, researchers in India, this is your motivation. If people somewhere around the globe are making it happen, why not in our country? And even our idea of trying to learn about autism spectrum, that's because very few people in India are aware, and there is no data set or no specific review carried out for children in India. There is just one review done by one professor from Hyderabad, which is accepted, and only 0.9% of people in India are aware of autism, and 0.9 to I think 0.97, something like that. Some kids are diagnosed. So for a country with a population as big as India, I think that's really a very bad plight right now. So we have to start here. That's, I think, my take on this. All right. Right. Yes, they're all classification models. And right now, we are just trying to work on the video module. So what we intend to do is gaze tracking, right? So there are multiple coordinates which we map through a screen. And there are 4 coordinates which we try to look at so that the person steps into frame, because these videos which are captured, they're captured in OPDs of neurologists or OPDs of pediatricians, right? So it might be the solution that we should have a controlled environment, an environment where a kid is in a particular frame, because when you are trying to implement a module which is, or you're trying to, let's say, do object detection, so there has to be a controlled space where you can actually try to get the object. But if the kid is not looking in the screen, then really there is no use, right? So first there is a module where the kid is trying to look at 4 corners of the screen, so we know where exactly the kid is. And then with respect to the 4 modules, we try to track the eyes. So the distance from those 4 points gives us the eye tracking, right? So each time the kid moves, we get coordinates. And the coordinates, let's say, are associated with some or the other type of a behavior. So autistic kids will have a specific set of coordinates, a specific set of screen that they will be looking at, a specific part of the screen they'll be looking at. So that's like one mode of implementation. This is still in process because we haven't implemented fully yet. And we're still capturing data. That's how basic we have to start, because there is no data. So I think I am actually quite overwhelmed because, college also, we are doing the same thing. We are trying to brainstorm ideas of how we can actually implement it. But I hope that the research that we do helps us get some actual solution out of this, because if this works out, then at least many people in India will get access to autism and treatments and further things that they need in a specific set of environment. So, right.
Which institute you are working?
I'm in MIT School of Engineering in Pune, Kotur campus.
There is total apathy in India.
Yes, I agree. And we need to start
I have
from
been practicing for 55 years.
55 years. Oh, that's great.
And I'm a pediatrician also.
Oh,
I'm a
that's
pediatrician
great.
also.
That is great. So you must be aware that
I was aware. There is no.
and parents, they have such a restricted behavior. They're not willing to help even researchers in this process, because we have had a very tough time convincing parents that we need your data only for research, that we are not going to make any misuse out of this. We go to Dinanath Mangeshkar and we're sitting in the OPD and we try to help parents understand what our research, what we aim to do. And we do explain them that we're not going to misuse data. We actually delete it after we analyze. Yes, totally. I agree.
Sorry, Vaidehi, sorry to interrupt. I'm talking for online. My name is Abhay Joshi. Whenever in-person audience is asking question, will it be possible to have a remote microphone or something so that online people can also hear clearly? Because we are trying to understand what the question is, but most of the times we are just getting the answers which you which you're responding. So if it is possible.
Yeah, I'll walk with the person. Okay.
Thank you. I would like to share an experience about working on a similar project, a neurological disorder like the way they mentioned. So I had worked on that back in my third year, where I had participated in the Smart India Hackathon. So one of the problem statements was about developing a mobile application to be able to detect Alzheimer's at its early stage. Because the problem is such neurological diseases get detected in the second or third stage. If, you have a person in a family and you start realizing that she's not able to remember what she ate in the morning. So it becomes like you don't realize that she's suffering from a disorder. So it's pretty late when you actually go to a doctor and start a treatment, and then it becomes beyond curation. So the problem statement was to be able to detect at the early stage. And the second thing, why a mobile game itself? It was because such people who suffer from such diseases have high anxiety. They tend to get anxious, or there must be a small trigger because of which they get anxious, and that can make the condition even worse. So a mobile game in which they won't realize that they're actually testing, or they're getting tested on something, on some application. They'll just play. We will collect their data, their scores, everything about application. But the idea was this: that is, they play the application, we will collect their scores, a little bit of personal information, and then that data will be passed to a machine learning algorithm, which will be already trained on data to be able to detect if a person is suffering from Alzheimer or not. So it is not it won't have a very high accuracy, but at least it will give you an indication which you can then pass on to a physician, and you can get your tested. So in order to design a mobile game, we went we searched a little bit about the Alzheimer's disease and what are mentioned, that is the big problem. So if you go to a doctor, he will ask you to draw a clock. That is a simple test. If a person is able to write the numbers correctly in the correct order, then it is working fine. It is an indication of how the cognitive ability is working fine. That is a very good indication. So in our mobile app, one of the applications or one of the steps, we designed it as a user story. So when you enter a place, now you need to decide a timetable to be able to design a clock. Then you can make a clock virtually. And then using the application's inner mechanism, you will detect if it is you are drawing it correctly, or the numbers, or if it is swap or something like that. So that we will collect in a database and which will be used for testing. Moving on, the second disability is you will get confused in direction. When you walk on road or you go somewhere, you'll likely get confused or will not be able to go in the right direction. So in the game we had that, it was a 3D game. If you want to know the technology, we were trying to develop there is an application for developing 3D game. We're trying to make it more attractive and this. So we'll make, you will make some list that he needs to go to this store, that store, this is the direction. Remember that. Even remembering is a big problem. Just remember in which direction you need to go and go likewise. So we'll measure his move, and that will be tracked at the back end. The third problem is they find difficult to make money transactions. Simple money transactions. Like you go to a shop, you buy something for 100 rupees, you pay 150, you have to take 50 rupees back. That is something they struggle with. So we had that option. So if to check if they're able to make those transactions properly. So all this course, everything we track at the back end. It is not productionized yet because, as she mentioned, there is a lot of problem regarding the privacy of data. It's very difficult to collect data and to be able to train a very high accuracy model on that. And to be able to train, we need to first collect data, which is not available. So, the hospitals, it is difficult to actually get in touch with hospitals and get that kind of data because it is highly sensitive data. Medical data, health data is very difficult to work on. So that is a problem. And again, testing, the second, as I mentioned, anxiety, and making sure that the patient is not getting triggered. Because if he knows that while playing a mobile game, he's getting tested, he will get conscious. And so, data won't be actually good to test on. So we had a mechanism where we're trying to develop that if a person is getting anxious in between, we will play some soothing music so that he doesn't get triggered. Because our aim is just to help that and to be able to detect. We don't want to, trigger or to be able to harm that person. And it should not be in any way harming that person. So that's what some of the parameters we have taken care of. And any such mobile application, simple, collection of data might help in early detection, which would really help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atmaja. We faced a very similar issue. Sorry. Like she mentioned, data issues, right? So when we, proposed to a doctor that this is what we plan to do, he told me, "Ye nahi hoga. This is not going to happen because kids are very sensitive with screen, which means that you should either have a nanny cam, which means a camera inside a teddy bear or something like that, where children won't actually notice, or then otherwise, no, this is not working. This is not going to work for you." And we had a tough time formulating. 2 or 3 days, we were just formulating a consent form where we can mention, that the data will really not be misused or won't be leaked anywhere, won't be done. In fact, we take data anonymously so that, there is no issues with privacy. But even in such conditions, lack of awareness, that is why we are having a really hard time trying to get data. And that's actually my call here. If people can hear this, please try to make data, because data scientists, people or engineers, they can work only if there is some data. And starting from scratch for somebody who is engineer and collecting data which is less in medical, it is a very difficult task because, like she mentioned, nobody is willing to help. Secondly, connecting to a doctor, that's very difficult. And since my guide had a personal connection with a neurologist, we were able to do it very smoothly. And we're still in progress of doing it. We sit in hospitals for hours to get data. So I think that would be our cue to understand how much we need.
Whether it is good to know, this is Abhay again from online. It is good to know and hear about a huge amount of research that is happening in AI, and very interesting for me personally as well. But having heard from all our MayaCare members in terms of how they are trying to use the basic technology that is available, for making them work, to be able to, for them to be able to work. Are there any basic simple products in market? I'm talking about products, not only in the research stage, because we can see quite a few AI-based applications like self-driven cars are there, which are totally AI-based, which are there. So there are big commercial products that are already operational, but are there any products for differently abled people, simple products, not very complicated ones, which they can use to enhance their abilities to work and help them in their working? That is one question. Secondly, you mentioned about getting real-time data or good data for doing further research. I absolutely understand and agree that point. And I was just thinking a possibility of, because we have a team of 100 plus disabled people who are working more than 8 hours daily helping Maya Care. Is there a possibility that if you need a certain type of data, they can use a device as part of their work and the data will be automatically collected? I mean, you have 120 live users who are working for an organization and facing some difficulties. And if there is some way in which their work is not disturbed, but the data can be collected, I'm just throwing an idea here. I'm not saying that should be done or can be done, but we can probably work together, at least from data perspective, if it can help and build some products later for differently able people to work.
Right. Yes, Mr. Abhay, I am Sucheta here from BITS Pune. So basically, the objective of this session was exactly the brainstorming. And like you said, I think all these problems are limited to research. A lot of proof of concepts have happened. Like, for example, sign language, right? It is very easy for us to understand that it is gesture based, right? And there are almost all gestures, and there are a lot of ready-made code and research papers available on internet where you can do proof of concept. In fact, we had one of our members, Priyanjali Gupta, who was supposed to join, and she has already done the proof of concept. But the need here is to, productize it, right? End to end, we need to either create a solution or a service where there is a challenge. Like, one of the challenges is convincing the people and creating a whole ecosystem of people who need to come together to solve this problem. And that is where the domain experts, subject matter experts, and the doctors and the medical industry play a big role. Let's say that we have to develop a platform for sign language detection, where whenever the people who are have speaking challenges and hearing challenges, they're using sign language in real time, we should be able to convert the sign language to text in probably top 3 languages. Let's say we are doing for India, then maybe English and Hindi, and also voice. So in principle, the technology has been there. It's proven, the prototypes are there, proof of concepts are there. But here, especially the objective of this session was to brainstorm what are the current challenges, right? So one challenge is about the mindset of people, the data, and the fear, and bringing them into confidence, the people who are impacted and affected, and their caretakers who play a big role. And the second thing is creating awareness among the medical industry that how this can solve problems. Third thing is, we need huge data because people like Vaidehi, Atmaja, they are engineers. So for example, for us to train the model, this is a simple computer vision application. So for us to train the model in sign language, we need to create a lot of training data. And like Manjiri said, there are 3 standards of sign language. Maybe we can, to begin with, stick with Indian standards. And then we will need help from people who have speaking and hearing challenges to actually, keep speaking to us in sign language, and we keep recording those screens. And then we need huge records. We need millions and millions of records so that this can be used to train the computer vision model. And then later on, we need to develop an end-to-end platform where the person who is always speaking is in front of the camera is detecting image by image and converting that sign language into text. So this is a huge solution which needs lot of computing power, lot of training data, lot of subject matter. In addition to the disabled people, the trainers who train people in sign language, you know, the trainers who can talk and explain us what is right, what is wrong. But the objective of this session was to see that in WITS, we have a lot of interns, we have a lot of community members who are willing to work on this. So objective of this session was to brainstorm on what are the building blocks. We can take one example, you know, we can either take the problem Vaidehi is solving, and we can see that what the WITS interns can, how the WITS interns can support. Because data gathering, data collection in itself is a project. You know, there are many projects, there are many companies who just specialize in data creation. There are startups in Delhi and many other countries. The product is data creation. They are creating data because these solutions thrive on data. The second thing is to build a community of such people. So do we have, you know, autistic communities, the communities of autistic people? Do we have, you know, communities of visually impaired? For example, Maya Care is a very good community. In fact, we had spoken about dementia also, right? That without knowing the name of the person, there is a cognitive test for dementia. And just by taking that test, you know, we can do a lot of analysis and see how we can help them. So we want to create, we hereby invite people who have joined. There are almost 80 people here, you know, around 60 online and 25 in person. The objective is to invite all of you, mostly who are data scientists, to solve this problem. Okay? And take up a dedicated role, create the building block and completely solve this end to end, productionize it, and really make it happen. Okay? So is there anyone who has any other, you know, suggestions or solutions? So typically computer vision, conversational AI, speech to text, text to speech, language, these are, you know, translation and transcription. These are going to play a huge role. Gesture control again is a part of, you know, computer vision, but the simple sensor-based technology, right? The hardware, you know, we can use certain hardwares also to solve certain problems. So we invite everyone to join here and, you know, participate. I'm sure those who have joined are interested in this problem. And this is a very critical problem because we want to take everyone along. We want to, you know, make use of the resources and their skill and their expertise for the society. So do any one of you have any other solutions, ideas, proof of concept? Please share that with us. And I would again like to ask Vaidehi and Atmaja that we have a team of interns here. How can they help you? Whatever stage you are in your project, okay, we can either autism or, you know, sign language detection. What is the help that you need in addition to creating awareness, you know, taking their parents and guardians, caretakers into confidence? What can be done? And, you know, how can we even digitalize and automate that, even data collection, right? So can you please give some suggestions? We have many people here who are ready to work on this.
One of the suggestions which I think might work is that for ASC, we how to explain? We would require videos. If it's, let's say, 15 to 20 seconds of the kid, and that is the most basic form of data that we require. So if you have people, or if you have people you know who have autism, kids you know who have autism or problems with social interaction, so if you can send us, you know, video sets, I think that is one place we will require. How do we reach out to them? This is actually where we are facing.
So as a follow-up to what Vaidehi said, and excellent Atmaja, about Vaidehi and Atmaja, what you're doing, it will go a very long way. It will take time, but it will go a very long way. One of the communities we have not been able to help as well is this. it's people with neurological disorders and various things. But today on the call, we have a live example of somebody who's done exceedingly well. If somebody can spotlight Pramit, please. So Pramit has come to us and he's been with us for a year. And I mean, in the last week, I can tell you that we were really, really overwhelmed. When his mother came on the call and she said, I don't even trust him with 1 rupee. And he does not trust himself with even 1 rupee. And last week for the award function, he bought Amazon vouchers and all the jackets people are wearing and ties and everything for 1.5 lakh rupees. So he has done this entire transaction on his own. And of course with his mother, and of course sent detailed accounts of everything to Abhay and me and making sure it happens. Now this is magic, I'll tell you why, because of the parental support. Okay, so because he has a family who is willing to let him be with us and all of that, and more than anything else is the EQ. It's a point which I want to say to all the scientists here that in biology, the lizard brain, and above the lizard brain are the complexities, and just the topmost layer of the brain is your emotional quotient, right, which is coming. Now, emotional quotient is where the problem is. So if you give somebody a very straightforward task, they do this. Apart from Pramit, we also have a person called Sumok who, if you give him a straightforward task, he will do it. Or he even plays the Casio very well. He does data search. So I'll again give you a very, very quick example of what can work, what will not work on the data. Now it's so easy for people like you and me. We just Google search, we copy paste something, we paste it on whatever document and we move on with it. So while we were doing the vaccination project, and there was Sandhya who was on the call, she was managing the project. She was managing it with 4 different kinds of disabilities. She herself is on a wheelchair in Chandrapur, but in 18 cities of India, she managed, we did vaccination of 1,200 people and 4 disabilities were working on it. Okay, so hearing impaired people doing the data search, those who cannot speak were doing the data search, those who can speak, cannot see, were doing all the calling, asking the elderly whether they have got the vaccine done, not done, whatever it is. Pramit, again, who's on the call, we taught him COVID, how to use COVID. Now, despite his stammer, and every time he would call, elderly people would hang up, saying, "Ye kyun kar raha hai phone? Why is he asking?" So, despite that, he and his mother jointly, they did the COVID registration. So he learned how to. Once he learned how to do it, he was great. So he was active. So he did the COVID vaccination for so much, and then our entire locomotor team and the volunteers, as Mr. Kulkarni and Mr. Nimonekar are here in the audience today. People like them went and actually helped the. Okay, so through this journey, where does the disability, which is neurological, where does it suffer? Why can't we use more of this? So some simple thing, when Sumuk would enter data, the other team was complaining, "Oh, number galat dal." The numbers are, I said, number galat kaise ho sakta hai? If it is from Google and he's copy pasting. So we asked him, we got everybody on the share screen and we asked him, "What are you doing? Show us how are you inputting the data in the spreadsheet?" So what he was doing, he was writing it down in his diary. Okay, because brain wise, he said, "Acha data mila," then he was writing the number, then he was typing the number in that. So this simple ability, so then we showed him, I said, "Everybody wait, let's show him how to copy paste." After that, he's doing. So these are small examples. EQ is the biggest example. Why do they, and the other reason why we are not able to help people is because our people work with the external world. In Maya Care, we have our volunteers who are amazing, we have our supporters. Nobody is ever unkind to each other. They're not allowed to be unkind to each other. But when we talk to the external world, we cannot control their behavior. And when we cannot control their behavior, we need your help as scientists to see how is it that that person's EQ problem can be addressed. It's a complex issue, I know. But for example, now Pramit again, you'll be amazed that Persistent is one of your partners in WITS. And we have started working with Persistent on a very interesting project that we have started a mini BPM within Maya Care, where Pramit and 3 other members of the team, led by Savita and Sandhya who on the call, we are doing the calendar requests and the virtual assistance for all of them. So the simple thing we told Pramit, he knows how to send a calendar request, he will do it. He will know how to send a standard email, he will do it. But if somebody asks him a question which is not in the database, as in his own database, and that EQ, to say that how do you not say something? All of our brains are coming back to the lizard brain. Our brains are so beyond the lizard brain. Most of the time, we are using a very, very complex situation and we are reacting to it. We are emotionally checking what we have to say, intellectually modifying what we have to say, and we are protecting ourselves. So this is not possible. So this is one example I wanted to give you. The second thing I want to say is on face recognition. So what I just said about emotional intelligence is more difficult. It will take time. But face recognition is also
We have lost them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we are lost.
Yeah.
Should I call her?
Not
Should I call
Manjari.
Vede? No, Vede. Should I call her? Yeah.
I will call Manjari's dad is in the audience, or Mahesh Kulkarni is in the audience. If someone can call
Okay,
him.
I will call
Jyoti,
Mahesh.
yeah.
Yeah, we are completely lost them.
get that done.
Yeah.
That's something which is very simple. Yeah. And last point, you said how to collect the data. Yes, we have reached out to a number of communities. Right now, our aim this year is to hire 1,000 people with varying disabilities. This year in my case, to hire 1,000, we will be reaching out to 6,000 people or 10,000 people, because then only the right people, like you see our brilliant team which is there, they are the cream of what came and went, who came and went. So don't worry, all the communities you've addressed, once we reach them, we will reach out to you and we can be your life case study.
And other communities for data. There are some suggestions. Yes.
I received one suggestion here. I think it is some Kanu ma'am. Wait a second.
Kanu can speak. She's on the call.
Kanu, please speak. Huh?
Ma'am, would you like to unmute and speak?
Yeah, actually, I just thought of sharing a thought. Actually, in our school time, we used to get regular dental checkups. So when you were talking about that mild autism and everything, so a point struck in my mind that what if we can have such mandatory like those screen readings for people, all the kids, so that we can just have a look or the mind development of those people in early stages. As you said, that it's not that much easy to diagnose and to have data from parents, so it would be quite easy to get those data from school, and everything would be able to go in the right path, as because they'll be early in their stages. So that's why I just thought of this thing.
I think your solution is this. There is another solution. I mean, there is another. Okay. Okay, let me read this. मी एक स्पायनल कॉर्ड इंजुरी 83% डिसेबल आहे. माझे शिक्षण कला शाखेत इतिहास विषयात 2010 वर्षात मुंबई विद्यापीठ मार्फत पदवी पूर्ण केली आहे. Sorry, my Marathi skill is not that great at reading, but
yeah. Anybody else wants to read? Anybody else? We have excellent people. Yes, Mahesh, you want to read? Come, please come. He's on a volunteer and he does a lot of the translation also for us. Please come. Yes.
Good evening to all. I am Santosh Turzapure from Vashi, Navi Mumbai. मी एक स्पायनल कॉर्ड इंजुरी 83% डिसेबल आहे. माझे शिक्षण ठीक आहे. सर्वप्रथम मी माया केअर फाउंडेशनचा आभार व्यक्त करतो आणि तुमच्या पुढील कार्यासाठी खूप खूप शुभेच्छा देतो. मी नवीन जोडलो गेलो आहे. माया केअर मध्ये गेल्या 15 दिवसापासून SVB प्रोजेक्ट मध्ये सविता मॅडम आणि अरिजित सरांमार्फत डेटा सर्चिंग करीत आहे. मला माया केअर फाउंडेशनची योजना आणि कार्य खूप आवडते. तुमचे सामाजिक कार्य आणि आम्हा संपूर्ण दिव्यांग महिला तसेच पुरुष बांधवांसाठी स्वतःला सिद्ध करण्याची संधी उपलब्ध करून दिल्यामुळे मी माया केअरचा मनापासून आभार व्यक्त करतो.
We lost them again.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We
sir,
have
I
lost
think.
again.
Sandhya, you can ask your question. And if you're asking me
Yes, sir.
your question, then
सोचते सोचते कल से
क्या
सोच
हुआ?
रही थी कि
You
ये
can
क्वेश्चन
definitely ask your question.
आया.
And the
Yes.
question which Prerna and Preetham has asked, which are very similar, you can ask that as well along with your question.
Yes, sir. I'll try. I'll try. Thank you.
Nilesh, in another 5 minutes or so, I will have to drop off. because
सर
I have,
आम्ही त्यांना लॉस्ट केले जरा प्लीज बघा त्यांना सांगा त्यांचं कनेक्शन नाही आहे महेश सर हॅलो
Hello.
हॅलो सर
Am I audible now?
we are back. I think we are back.
या
Yes,
या
yes, yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We have another question. Can such a technology be made that helps disabled people by connecting them to caregivers and volunteers who can assist whenever needed? In case a disabled person needs some help while going to work, shopping, while traveling to caregivers, which specifies the type of help needed, has two-way communication which allows the volunteers to talk about the help needed, and it also provides the GPS for better location information of the disabled person so that the caregivers can, I think she meant that can physically come and help. Yes, this is a very workable, very workable problem statement, and this can be done. I think we'll keep this. Yes. Can we note this as well? Should I save that? I'll save that. Even save that. Yes, I'll save that. Yes. Hello all, I'm Siddhida, hearing impaired, MSc, and Leela Fellow. I would like to suggest that community building awareness program about the deaf schools to normal schools collaboration can be done. The student exchange program should start from city to district to state in hybrid ways. Would you like to say something? No. Okay, that's another suggestion. For this, I'm starting my own startup that's excellent and looking for mentoring and guidance for technical and funding support. Please guide. I think everywhere this is quite established that we do not have enough mentors. That's exactly where even we are facing an issue. So if the community can help us, like Ms. Siddhida has mentioned, support and guidance and mentoring, I think that's one of the main things that can be worked out. Secondly, another point which I think we need to focus on is making these solutions affordable to normal humans, because these proof of concepts, all of them, one of them is a wheelchair where the facial expressions of the person are captured, and the wheelchair is trained on AI algorithms, and it can understand what the commander wants to say, what the user wants to say. So the wheelchair will move on its own, and so on and so forth. So this wheelchair right now that I'm talking about is priced at 2,37,000 rupees, and it's not available in India. So the next thing that we have to work on is even having proof of concept. The next step would be to have it accessible and have it affordable. That's one of the main things that we need to work on. Please focus camera.
Ma'am,
Yes, please move ahead. You have raised your hand. You can unmute and you can directly speak. Or if that is not possible, please post in the chat. We'll try to address it. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, no.
There's one question from Prerna, which she had posted earlier. She's asking, are there any helping products to go to washroom and giving bath and wearing clothes for us? She's the one having cerebral palsy. I'm sure this question could be also valid for few others in the MyCare team.
Yes, sir. So, sir, for the solution for this, ideally would be robotics, IoT, and understanding, having sensors or some technology like that. So this isn't in the scope of AI, I believe. So it's but I mean, how exactly? Not ML and data science though, but let's say robotics. It needs hardware specialization. That's the answer I'm receiving.
But sorry to interrupt, but there could be a possibility that the person may not be able to communicate and use the machine on its own. So even communicating that I have to go to the washroom, could there be something like eye movements or something that can be detected saying that, oh, I have to communicate, I have to go to the washroom, which then the machine can help to execute?
Yes, this again is under gesture control. Something like this has been implemented, though it's not to indicate if they want to go to the washroom. It's the thing that I mentioned earlier for the wheelchair, but it is totally implementable. Yes, just a second.
So Abhay, it's AI is a combination, right? So basically, robot eyes is nothing but computer vision. Okay. So for example, I say 1 means bathroom, 2 means something, 3 means something, right? So once the robot is trained on my gestures, right, whatever it is, so the robot will do. So artificial intelligence is a combination of, everything. But I think we should focus on one problem. And right now, for any of whether the autistic solution which Vaidehi referred, the Alzheimer solution which Atmaja referred, or the sign language solution, I think the first problem will start with data gathering and data creation. So if we want to really pursue this and develop a real, accurate and good quality sign language detection solution, we need to form a team which is a good mixture of medical industry, the differently able people themselves, their caregivers, engineers, researchers, and heavily collect and create data, then train the data, and then continuously test it to a point it becomes very accurate, because there is a risk of giving wrong results, because this is a very sensitive problem. It can be fatal, because we are already dealing with differently able people who are dependent on the machine. So a small mistake or the error can be fatal. So yeah. So that is why I think we have to first understand the importance of data. Okay, and the second thing is awareness. How do we bring these people into confidence? How do we need to do campaigns, right? So the example which someone suggested, that we can do campaigns in the school, the benefit of that is we will get normal data as well as affected data, right?
There is a small catch to this idea. The point being is that because they are autistic and they act so, they are not, enrolled in regular school. They go to special school, right? So that's where I think the problem really is. We might not be able to get data for both healthy controls and people who have ASD. So that's where we start awareness. I think that's where we start. And once I think these kids move to school, having that data as well. So from that school, I think we can get data. That's it.
So there are schools for differently able, right? So have we contacted them? So I think we need to form a team. So there are WIDS interns, they're available for 2 months. So we need to do exhaustive campaign, and we need to understand the importance of data. This thrives on data. Data science and machine learning thrives on data. We need to do a brainstorming session and literally create a list of the places. One is through hospitals and the doctors who specialize in this, who have the database of their patients impacted, either autistic or sign language. Sign language is little easier to get data, but for autistic, we will have to make a list, visit doctors who can directly give us reference to patients, then make a data policy, privacy policy, so data governance, and bring those people into confidence and tell that it is for their benefit. Then heavily capture the data. The data again has to be very technologically well thought and captured, because again we cannot tools.
AIMS has a diagnostic questionnaire. AIMS, they are the primary researchers, at least in India. They have a standard questionnaire, and the input that a person gives is in zeros and ones. And what better would it be? Data in the form of zeros and ones.
But is the questionnaire in manual form or digital form? Okay, so because we don't want to do it in manual and then again convert from. So again, then we'll have to convert that manual to digital. For that, again, we will need computer vision or OCR or some other technology. And then we need to see how much minimum data we need. And then we start training.
Autism spectrum is a big spectrum, right? So there are kids with mild autism and kids with severe autism. So the ones which have mild autism, they have exceptional IQ. You know, if they can have IQ better than all of us combined here, really. So I think that first understanding the disease, then understanding what data we need, because again, like I mentioned, the spectrum is broad and there are four, at least we know of 4 types of ASD. So that's really how we begin. So the idea, the working idea.
So I think we should collaborate with Maya Care Foundation for this and literally have a digital list of all kinds of organizations, bodies, associations worldwide who can help us in this. I think we should not restrict to India. Probably doing this outside India will be much easier. Coming to sign language, I think there are a lot of schools, blind schools and special schools where we can coordinate with them and start capturing the sign language data. And then we need someone to explain our engineers the sign language, because they have to understand the sign language to check with. I think we should launch these 2 projects, and we should have a dedicated team who will collect the data in digital format, and we should see that we have ample data and we'll start training. Once we start training, we'll start seeing the output, and then we will optimize and tweak the model. Once that is done, then creating a solution out of it is more of a ML ops, But the objective of this session was to launch this program. So Vaidevi, we have a group of 8 to 12 interns right now who are available for 2 months, and we should have a follow-up meeting with them. Whichever we want, we should choose one first. Whichever is a low-hanging fruit, which can land us faster. How many of your members are autistic from Mayake? You have not been able to reach to that. Okay. So even where sign language is concerned, we had, in fact, last year we hired about 35 hearing impaired people. They used to use only ISL. And they tried working with us, and I'm coming back to EQ because of the fact that there are only 200 words and they're very functional words. They were not able to understand the work to be done, and it created a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding even among each other, and they were not able to work. So they're there, we can always reach out to them, but we are not able to give them enough work. Same with autism, right? Same with autism. And see, the thing is that I have a little small background about the hearing impaired community. Now what happens is that across the world, people are using sign language, different sign language, and the expectation is that all of us in the non-disabled world will use sign language or learn sign language. First thing, that is not possible. Even if you make it possible with AI, that it immediately converts it to text and all of that, the fundamental communication level itself is very big. They're not, I'll give you a quick example. 2 years ago, we tried to explain to them the work which Prerna does. Okay, Prerna does the work, as I told you, tomorrow is Suchita's birthday. On Suchita's birthday, she will take Suchita's photo from whichever source, whether it is Facebook or WhatsApp DP or whatever it is. She will make a birthday card. She will replace the photo. She will replace the correct name, date. She will send it. It's a very simplified task. Anupama is able to do it. Pramit is able to do it. I'm describing 3 different kinds of disabilities. Cerebral palsy is able to do it. Hearing impaired is able to do it. And autism is able to do it. But who cannot do it is somebody with such a hearing disability. In what sense? There is a comprehension issue. They were not able to understand what to do. For 2 hours we were on a call. We were trying to explain with shared screen, where is the folder, what happens, whatever. So there is a fundamental need for comprehension itself. It's not enough to just take sign language and quickly flip. Where they're able to do is things like, there is a courier service in India, which employs only persons with hearing impairment, called Miracle Couriers. It's won a national award. Only hearing impaired, everybody. But that is very simple. Take the parcel, deliver the parcel. Do this, do that. That kind of thing we can do. We are talking about much more complex tasks, which we are not able to do. Where autism is concerned, I see a lot of hope in the mild autism. Okay, because again, I have some exposure to people from that community. Mild autism, easily, if we give them some of the work which we can do it. So that's the next one to go ahead. Again, the problems we had there with the parents, because parents are very, very afraid because it leads to behavioral issues. The fundamental difference between the 565 people we hired in India and the 20 in the UK is that in the UK, all disabled people live on their own. They have other problems and other issues of motivation and other things, but they live on their own, including our visually impaired lady who lives on her own. She has to live on her own now. She has a guide dog. Okay, so she has to live. But here, 99% of the people are dependent 100% on the family. And the families naturally, because of the resultant behavioral problem, especially in autism and in hearing impairment, are not willing. But we will circumvent that. I think among the two problems you described, we are seeing autism as a better one because we can look at the mild autism spectrum, give them data search work, give them work which is not to communicate with the outside world, but communicate within MyAcare, which we can handle in a controlled environment. Yes. Yes. So we in India, once again, the guide dog consortium is very expensive. So our exposure to Abhayana, exposure to guide dogs, there is an organization which only trains guide dogs in the UK. It gives you a puppy. So tomorrow, if Atmaja wants a puppy, that puppy stage for 1 whole year, the puppy has to live with Atmaja. Every week, the trainer will come and train the puppy. Okay, and out of that whole 1 year activity, after that, after 2 years, the puppy will have a graduation. Okay, how to be a good guide dog for a visually impaired person. Only after that is done, then they will come and then they will be allocated to the person by the government. After that, that person who is using the guide dog undergoes training. So to give our own example, our Sarah Belli, who is working with Sandhya. Sandhya is in Chandrapur, Sarah Belli is in Manchester. Sarah Belli is visually impaired and she deals and together they handle UK. So Sarah Belli recently got a guide dog. She was allocated a guide dog and she had to undergo training, all of that. For a little film we made for MyAcare with Sarah Belli in it. There is a film with Jyoti in it, India film, UK film has Sarah Belli. So there was so Sarah was telling us it was a very funny incident. The guide dog is not allowed to see the film. The guide dog was used to the fact or had been trained that the guide dog will go first and Sarah will follow. So she was not letting that happen. So the guide dog started crying. That the poor dog started crying that they are not letting me help the person I'm supposed to help. So anyway, to answer your question, I have not seen much usage of. Okay, so we can. I mean, that is definitely an excellent solution. So, I mean, there are many projects, as you said, you have your interns, so many sub-projects can be spun off from this council. And whoever is interested in whatever form, and we just start with one, even if we're able to help. Thank you.
Yes. Right. So we had a very, very insightful session on understanding necessities, understanding what problem statements we can work on. And now finally, we are actually at the conclusion of the event. And what I like for the audience to do is reach out to us if you have experience, reach out to us if you want to help, because, we can provide training, we can provide whatever resources we need, and we can actually make this work and try to provide or do actual social good by having a steady in-hand solution, right? So I request whoever in the audience have joined, if you can help us. Any comment? Yeah. Also, anybody, do you have any comments? Anything that you'd like to say about the whole event? What you felt about it? If there's any idea that you have? Anyone, please feel free to unmute or put it in the chat box. I'll read it for you.
Yes, ma'am. Nilesh here from MyAcare.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, hi. So it was really great. We learn a lot of things right now. There are so many things which we need to reach now. And yeah, hope so. With technology, everything will go smooth. And we At MayaCare, using a very, every aspect of technology we are using here. So if, the both things are there, we can use. So it will be really great, like, it will make us more capable of doing. Someone is, yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your response. I think I was not able to invite you during, but I understood what you wanted to say. So I think there's a message, right? Okay.
Can I also ask a question? I'm Mary from MayaCare.
Yes, please go ahead.
As it was obviously a very good discussion and so many things that we get to know. Last, I just want to see, like, there are so many people, in need, and most of the Indians, especially who are disabled or specially needed, they're not aware about any technologies around, and they're not benefited by it. Like many people, even my own friends, don't know about screen reading or many things. So how does this really reach? So much of research and everything is done, and so much of effort from your side. You do things, but how is it reaching to the people, especially the backward classes or the ones who are not able to afford those things?
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope, and I really do hope that we try to do something about this. And awareness is where we start, because really in India, the situation is that not many people are aware, not many people have that kind of empathy, like you mentioned. So that's where we need to start. Another highlight, yes. Yes, and that's one of the fundamental problems. When it comes to medical problems, we have realized that parents don't really have the observation skills. They rather feel that the kid is, they're throwing tantrums. That's how it's avoided.
And accept it and treat it like what we have seen in They were not able to catch that there is a problem. Even when it was brought to the notice, they had difficulty accepting it. And there is a social stigma and other things, due to which they might be just.
So what Sucheta ma'am just said is that parents do not have the observational skills, and even if it is brought to their notice, the response is really not. They take it more like an offense. Oh, my kid does not have anything like this. This is how it's done. So they are mostly in denial. So what you need to do is, again, start with creating awareness. People should know that there are such illnesses that exist, and then further, what should be done is, as soon as they see abnormal behavior, rather than making it more like a tantrum issue, it should be dealt with. It should be bought in. Yeah, it should be bought in notice, and it should be treated. Correct, very true. So overall, I think the discussion has been extremely insightful, and what we hoped out of this event, I think the agenda is successfully achieved. And if there is anyone here in the audience who would like to say something about today's event, anyone at all, maybe a few words, what you felt about the event, what you feel will be your contribution in terms. Hindi, Marathi, English, anything is fine. Anyone would like to say something? Anyone? Oh, great. Can you come here?
I'm Neha Shah. I work as a data scientist at Rolls-Royce. And I think this session today was a completely different topic that I haven't ever thought of. I think I'm just too privileged to have not been exposed to such problems. But I think there's a lot for us to work on, and I will definitely want to contribute.
Thank you so much. Your name again? Neha. Thank you so much, Neha. Even the willingness to, be able to contribute, that's really a start. So finally, I think since we have achieved our agenda for the day, I'd like to conclude. And disabilities, whether related to vision, hearing, mental health, learning, cognition, mobility, can be permanent, temporary, or even situational. Designing new products with technologies like AI, which strive to use inclusive design, is one of the ways we make sure that technology works for everyone. AI hasn't been around for long enough to tackle each opportunity and each problem state, but we know that in the upcoming years, AI will begin to supercharge all the efforts and help us create sustainable solutions which can be worked around for everybody. Coming to the end of the day, I would like to finally present the vote of thanks. And firstly, I'd like to thank Team Maya Care for joining us today. Your stories are extremely motivational and have helped us understand how crucial technology is for you people, both in your professional and personal pursuits. We at WIS Pune are thoroughly inspired and motivated to make contributions, which we hope will aid you and your team. Also, I would like to thank all the audience who have joined today to discuss and present all your thoughts and ideas. A big thanks to volunteers who have been working at the back end to make this event a huge success. Finally, I'd like to thank Sujeta ma'am for guiding us and recognizing that this topic should be talked about, right? And finally, also, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a host today. And that's it for the day. Tata, bye bye, see you. Shubhratri and namaste. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you
Very
so much,
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, ma'am.